Today we're diving into a highly sensitive, emotionally charged, and globally significant topic that has been circling across media platforms, stirring conversations, debates, fears, and questions. The claim that Qatar has declared plans to strike back at Israel has raised intense speculations. Remember, this claim remains unverified, but it has captured attention due to rising tensions in the region. Today, we try to decode what's being said, what might be misunderstood, and what it could mean for the future of the Middle East and the wider world. We'll explore the emotional, political, and human dimensions behind this narrative in a calm, reflective, and balanced way. There is a growing global mood of uncertainty, and the Middle East has always been a region where one statement can alter diplomatic relationships, trigger economic shifts, and even set off worldwide reactions. In such a climate, even rumors, unconfirmed reports, and incomplete statements can spiral into large-scale anxiety. So when reports began to emerge suggesting that Qatar might be planning retaliatory actions against Israel, the world listened, even if the information was not officially verified. People started asking, why Qatar? What triggered such reports? And if it were true, what would it mean for the region? To understand any of this, we must look at the emotional and political history between Qatar and Israel. Qatar has historically positioned itself as a diplomatic mediator in conflicts involving Palestine, Gaza, and broader Israeli tensions. Qatar played a central role in ceasefire negotiations, humanitarian efforts, and hosting dialogue between rival parties. So the idea that Qatar, a country known more for negotiation than confrontation, might consider striking back, even hypothetically, captures attention instantly. It challenges an image, it changes expectations, it opens questions, but we must pause here. In today's hyper-connected world, misinformation spreads far more quickly than truth. Strong headlines often travel faster than confirmed facts. That's why many times what people react to isn't reality, it's speculation. When a claim appears, especially one related to war or retaliation, it creates fear, debate, rage, and division. And truth often gets buried beneath emotion. Now, let's imagine for a moment, even hypothetically, what it would mean if a diplomatic nation like Qatar did take direct action. What message would it send? It would not just be a military signal. It would be a shift in global posture. It would show that diplomacy might be reaching a breaking point. It would suggest that some nations believe they are running out of peaceful tools. It would reflect a sense of urgency, perhaps even desperation, from a region that has witnessed decades of conflict. But here's where it gets more complex. Global powers like the United States, the European Union, regional neighbors including Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Iran, Turkey, and Egypt, each play a role in shaping the responses, decisions, and reactions of Middle Eastern nations. Qatar, like any nation, does not operate alone. Even the mere rumor of retaliation could impact its diplomatic relationships, economic partnerships, and international reputation. Qatar is deeply woven into global systems, energy exports, business investments, military alliances, sports and culture influences like the FIFA World Cup, and humanitarian work. Any action would carry consequences, but let's look deeper into the human layer of this conversation. Beyond politics, beyond armies, beyond leaders, there are ordinary people, innocent civilians, families, children, victims of war, people whose only dream is not revenge, not retaliation, but peace. People who just want to live. People who want their children to go to school without fear. Grandmothers who want to see grandchildren grow up, not grow up in war zones. Peace is not just an international goal. It is a human desire. So when rumors spread about retaliatory plans, it does more than just fuel political conversation. It shakes hearts, it rekindles fears, it creates scenarios in people's minds. It makes some feel angry, some hopeful, some anxious, and some deeply, deeply tired of war. And that emotional reaction, that roaring silence in people's hearts, is often more powerful than any confirmed statement. So, is Qatar truly preparing retaliation? Or is this a wave of speculation magnified by media, social networks, and geopolitical tension? Right now, there is no official, verified statement confirming any such declared plans for military retaliation. Qatar continues to hold onto its role as a mediator, but that does not mean the tensions aren't real. It does not mean people aren't questioning. It does not mean the world isn't watching. Here's what we do know. Qatar has voiced strong concern over regional developments, expressing anger and sadness over civilian losses in conflicts across the Middle East, especially in Gaza. Qatar has called for accountability, for international law to be upheld, and for nations to respect sovereignty, human dignity, and protection of civilians. But calling for justice and choosing military retaliation are two very different things. Some believe that even if Qatar is frustrated, it would likely respond through diplomacy, legal channels, international courts, or strategic coalitions rather than warfare. Some say Qatar prefers to speak through negotiations, pressure campaigns, diplomatic influence, and humanitarian aid rather than direct confrontation. Others say the region is changing, and countries once known for diplomacy are becoming more assertive. Only time will reveal which perspective becomes reality. Now, let's try to understand something important. Middle Eastern politics is not just about countries. It's about identities, narratives, histories, and memories. When nations in this region react to conflicts, their actions are not just based on current events. They're shaped by decades of shared experiences, pain, solidarity, and identity. So even if a rumor is unverified, it may reflect genuine emotional tensions in the region. People are exhausted. They want stability, they want dignity, they want justice. And sometimes, in moments of deep frustration, the idea of retaliation becomes emotionally appealing. Not because people love war, but because they hate injustice. But here's the deepest truth. Real strength is not always retaliation. Sometimes real strength is restraint. Sometimes real power lies in negotiation, not in confrontation. Real wisdom lies in protecting lives, not risking them. So while rumors swirl, while headlines sell, while emotions rise, we must remember that real humans will pay the price if war expands. And that leads us to one final understanding. The world does not need more conflict. It needs accountability, yes. It needs justice, yes. But it also needs balance, wisdom, and leadership rooted not in anger, but foresight. Just because something is unverified doesn't mean it should be ignored, but it also doesn't mean it should be blindly believed. Our responsibility as thinkers, as viewers, as global citizens, is to neither panic nor ignore, but to stay alert, informed, calm, and compassionate. We must not be consumers of fear. We must be seekers of truth. Because one day, when the dust finally settles, when the fires of conflict die down, what will remain are not victories or headlines, but stories, memories, and hopefully, peace. Thank you so much for staying till the end of this deep and reflective exploration. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Do you think Qatar would ever step away from its mediator role? Do you think the Middle East is at risk of a larger confrontation? Or do you believe diplomacy will prevail